All right, Sheeva, I want to start by saying something really quick that I appreciate about you that I don't see very often in today's world. And it's that you're honest.
Thank you.
And like, you're no BS. And I feel like particularly when it comes to the wellness space and the health space, it is filled with bullshitters. And so when
you know this.
Yes, girl.
You know this.
I do. And it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And so when I got introduced to you, it was through this like girls group here in town. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that because I was looking for people who are like pushing the envelope, really staking their name into the ground and like, but also supporting other women doing the same thing. And so when I met you, I was like, oh my God, she's so great. And then I was stalking your Instagram, like, we need people like you in this space. So I just wanted to like,
you are so sweet, and I feel the exact same way about you. And immediately at that table when we were at dinner, I was like, "That's it, yeah, we're friends for sure, for sure."
Interesting too, because how long have you been in Nashville?
I was born and raised.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I left for 6 years to go to California, but I was born and raised. Yeah, I'm a unicorn.
Rare. I was gonna say that never, especially in Nashville. Everyone comes here a couple years and like, I know. There we go.
I know.
But it's interesting because I moved here 4 years ago, and I want to get into your background and medical and wellness and everything. But I want to talk about community really quickly. Yeah. I moved here 4 years ago, and it was really hard for me to find like a good, solid community of people who aren't in the music industry because I moved here for music. And so when I first got here, I was going out constantly. It was drinking my face off because when you, when you network, particularly in the entertainment industry, that's what people are doing. Yeah. And I was
in all industries in Nashville though. It's a very Nashville
Is it really?
thing. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh. I mean, even when I owned my gyms back in the day, that's what we were doing to network even for a wellness gym, you know? So like, even with that, that's what you're doing. That's a lot. That's pretty much all there is to do in those aspects in Nashville for a very long time. Things are definitely changing and evolving here, but that's a big part of it.
Oh my gosh. Sure. It's a huge part of this scene. I moved from Austin and I thought Austin was a drinking town, and it is. Yeah. But then you come to Nashville and you realize what a drinking town is.
It definitely is.
And so I really just didn't have like this community. And so like coming into this group a little bit and getting to meet y'all and a lot of people don't drink in the group, which is great. Yeah. I think you being one of them, right?
Yeah. I stopped drinking, gosh, I think 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it took me a minute, but it was one of those things where I was drinking, every weekend, multiple times per weekend, and it was really messing with my mental health. Like, I realized how much I would have, like, anxiety for days after drinking, and then my gut would feel off, and, after a while, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna have a couple drinks, and then I went to, like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't worth it. Like, the pros did not outweigh the cons for me. Yeah.
I mean, it's just so tough on the body.
Yeah. For sure.
God.
Yeah, we're as a society right now, alcohol is not as popular as it once was.
It's shifting, right?
It's definitely shifting for sure. Yeah, people are realizing that it's not worth it, and they're finding other alternatives as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, I was kind of like coming off of the drinking train there for a minute because like you, I was just feeling like crap. Yeah. I knew that I would recover for like 2 or 3 days after that. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what could I have done during those 2 or 3 days that I felt like a total piece of poop, and like my brain wasn't turned on, my gut felt off, like my skin was gross. But anyways, yes, Nashville's a drinking town. If you want to come drink, this is the place. If you don't, maybe look to go somewhere else. But it is shifting.
Yeah. It is.
But anyways, you're a functional medicine doctor.
I'm a functional medicine practitioner. Yes.
Can you tell us, dumb that down for someone like me who doesn't really know that? What exactly is that, and how does that differ from like normal Western medicine?
Yeah, so I'll give you an idea of just like functional medicine in general and how that's different. So conventional medicine, there's a place and time for that, of course. But when it comes down to really getting to the root cause of your symptoms, conventional medicine doesn't really do that. So for example, you might go to the doctor for a thyroid issue and they're going to give you 2 options. They're going to say either here's a medication or here is a surgery. You have one of those two options. They're not digging deeper into what is going on with the thyroid that you're needing more thyroid hormones. And so even, for example, a lot of times they'll look at just TSH as a marker instead of looking at 7+ markers to really understand what's going on with the thyroid. And then also understanding that with the thyroid, we're also needing to look at gut function. We're needing to look at toxin overload. We're needing to look at nutrition. There's a lot of things that can really change the thyroid. And conventional medicine stops at here's a medication, here's a surgery, and there's not much more there to it. We also have different testing. And so the type of testing that we do goes above and beyond what you can really get in the conventional medicine world. We're not covered under insurance, which is, in my opinion, awful that we are not part of the healthcare system, because ultimately healthcare system has turned into, in my opinion, sick care system. And so they're hitting symptoms. That's all they're doing. They're treating the symptom. And then with that one medication that treats one symptom, you get 5 other symptoms. And then they then give you another medication to treat those 5 symptoms that the medication caused in the first place, right? So we really want to heal you so that it's preventative medicine. We want to make sure that you are getting to a place where the body is balancing and working as a whole instead of being like, oh, go to this specialist, or no, the body, everything affects everything. The liver affects the hormones, right? So like we need to look at everything to see what's going on. And so we give a total body plan of action to heal the body.
Wow. It's almost like it's more comprehensive.
Very, very,
it's like,
yeah.
Let's look at everything and not just a few things.
Yeah, yeah. So we do, for example, with our program, and I've got 3 MDs on my team. What we do is we put 4 specific pillars in place. And so we really focus on nutrition. Nutrition's foundational. If you're not looking at nutrition, even in the functional medicine space, then you're missing a really, really important part, because nutrition by itself can heal the body. We look at supplementation instead of medication, right? We really try to focus on supplements, not saying there's not a place for medication in functional medicine, but it's done a little bit differently when it comes to functional. And then we look at nervous system regulation. So nervous system can be dysregulated because of blood sugar imbalance. It can be dysregulated because you have a toxin overload. It can be dysregulated for multiple different reasons. It's not just trauma or, stress, etc. So we focus on that. And then we also look at detoxification, which we live in a world right now, unfortunately, that there's a lot of toxins that we are basically putting on our body, that's in our environment that we are not aware of. The foods and the processed foods that we have out there just aren't the same. So we really need to work regularly on reducing that load, right?
Yeah. It's almost like in today's world, I feel like we're just trying to just not die. Because it's the things that we're putting in our body and the food processes, and it's the lotion that I use and the skincare and the Botox and like all of these things on top of like pharmaceuticals and whatever else. And I just feel like people are trying to kill us. Yeah. At like any point.
Why is it this hard?
Why is it this hard to be a human?
Yeah, for sure.
How did we get here?
Yeah, I was talking, so I've been working with this farmer that has incredible practices that I've been getting meat from. And we were talking about how like even the chickens back in 1957 are different than the chickens and how they're raising the chickens in 2005 and 2026, right? I mean, our practices have just changed. And so we really have to be hyper vigilant about this stuff. But at the same time, I want to say like, we can't also get to a place where this wrecks our nervous system because we can't live life.
That's true.
Right. So there's a good balance there that I always love to tell people is I always I preach about ingredients matter. Like I think it's so important, but if it's wrecking your nervous system and your stress and your anxiety, then we need to step back for a second and see what you can figure out and handle where you are at in this journey. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but it is really important to continue to educate yourself and then say, where can I reduce my load where it feels good for my lifestyle? Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bringing that balance.
Yes,
which
for sure.
so many of us have a hard time doing, particularly myself. I'm like, balance what?
No, it's challenging for sure. I mean, lifestyle changes in general are not easy to do, which is why we provide coaching, right? And that's where I really feel can make such a big difference for people. Women in general everyone's busy. Everyone's got a million things going on, right? And so to help you figure out how it fits into that lifestyle and that schedule of yours, and then implement it for at least a 3-month period of time, that's when it sticks, right? And then you replace the things that once were the most important thing to you with other things that you still enjoy too as well, that is a little bit better for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that seems like it's digestible. It's something that you can do.
Bite-sized pieces. We have to start small and continue to add on, or it becomes overwhelming for people to make these changes. Yeah.
And you talked a little bit about particularly for women, because why do you feel like, I feel like I'm talking to a lot of friends that just feel kind of broken and feel like they're inflamed, or they're anxious, or they're bloated, or they're not sleeping, or they have acne and they're 38 years old.
Yeah.
Like, why do we see more of this in today's world? I know it's like from a lot of the food and everything that we're doing, but is there something going on specifically with women? Are we more sensitive, or are we just hearing about it more?
I think that women's nervous systems are probably a little bit more heightened than men's. Like, we're made different, right? And then I also think that our hormones are very different, right? And so I never blame the hormone as the problem. I would say that the hormone is what's revealing, that you might be struggling with underneath, right? That when the hormones get changed or are off, because we obviously change like multiple times throughout the month, then we can see things change. And so we're hearing a lot about perimenopause right now, and how perimenopause is the problem. And everyone's like, oh, I'm just in perimenopause. And I'm like, totally, you're right. Perimenopause is not fun sometimes.
Could you tell us exactly what perimenopause is?
Perimenopause is the period of time where a woman, the hormones are changing. So estrogen could be spiking, progesterone could be going lower. It's that time before menopause kind of kicks in for people. And it can happen at different points in women's journeys. So like, you can actually not turn it on, but like, you can basically have it to where it starts earlier for some based on other things that are going on with the body. So you could be in a state of that earlier on if you have a gut infection or a toxin load or years of things going on health-wise. Immune function is not doing great, right? So those can also cause some of those hormone changes and perimenopause symptoms to come about.
Okay. Yeah. And also, I'm just remembering my old co-host used to call perimenopause that bitch Perry, because you feel like shit. Yeah. Yeah. And then you go into menopause, and that's supposed to be pretty hard as well, right? Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is perimenopause does not have to be absolutely horrible. Okay,
and I
think
that a lot of women get stuck in that, like, this is just how it's supposed to be, or this is how it's going to be. But there are so many tools out there to improve your hormones. And there's so many hormones are a downstream problem. So there's so many other things that are affecting those hormones, and you can absolutely support those. HRT is also a really great tool for those who it makes sense for. And that's not a bad thing to use that for some people. It just depends on the person.
Who does HRT make the most sense for?
Again, it's going to depend on the person. Like, it could be someone who has tried everything naturally, right? And that's just not working for them. It really depends on what's going on with them. And for example, let's say they're dealing with a major toxin overload, and it might take years to heal their body, and they need something to at least get their bodies balanced out so that they can handle a detox protocol, right? Or someone who has extremely heavy periods and has, again, tried everything and needs some progesterone in place, right, to improve that. It just really depends on the case-by-case scenario.
Is that what causes heavy period, progesterone?
Progesterone being low can, toxin load, inflammation can cause periods to be heavy. There's a million reasons why it can do that. But yeah, it's one of them, progesterone being too low or I'm sorry, estrogen being too high. It's the balance between estrogen and progesterone that we're really looking at. Okay. So those two need to be in balance, and oftentimes they are not.
So when we talk about hormones, because that to me, I hear about it all of the time. And I actually went to the doctor and wanted to get my hormones checked. This is before I got pregnant, and I was just curious. I'm 36, and you always hear like geriatric pregnancy. You just needed to see like where my levels were at.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get my hormones checked, and my doctor was like, well, why do you want to get your hormones checked? And I'm like, because I need to know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, you know? And I had to like come up with an issue that I was having in order to get my hormones checked at the doctor, which was just so crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I like made up all of this bullshit to get my hormones checked. So when we talk about hormones, I feel like there's just so much around that.
Yeah.
And there's so many different hormones. Are there like top 3 that women should be looking at the most?
Yeah, I mean, I would say testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. Like those are the top 3 I would say pay the most, most attention to. I think that really paying attention to your thyroid as well is going to be really important. It's unfortunate that, again, this when you were mentioning about conventional medicine and you had to make up something to get the testing done. It's because of the way insurance is. And so they need a reason to look at something. And so the reason should just be, I want to see where I'm at, and I want to optimize my health, and I want to be my best, right?
Imagine that.
Right.
I just want to optimize my health.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be my best self. And unfortunately in that system, it's not the doctor as much that's the issue. It's the system in place. And so we also, when we are looking at hormones, I mean, there's obviously lots of different things to be looking at, but I would say those are the main ones to pay attention to the most that make the biggest change for women and how they're feeling.
And then when it comes to, because you do a lot of labs on women, and which I think is amazing. Yeah. What do you see as like the most common issue or problem or something that's just like off the charts?
Yeah. So if I'm going to be honest, like one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is blood sugar imbalance, and it might not even be off on your labs. And so the way that we do things with my team is, yes, data is really important for me. So I want to be able to show you on paper what is going on, but I also want to make sure that we're looking at everything that's not just labs. Because, for example, your liver markers could look completely normal on your labs, but you might have a sluggish liver. And so with the other things that we look at, like a symptom burden analysis, we do a food audit, we do, a new client intake form. Like we do a ton of paperwork as well to really dive in, and based on labs, as well as all of the information we gather from you, your lifestyle, et cetera, that allows us to really understand where you're needing the support the most. Right. So I would say blood sugar balance is a really big one. I see women who are very like under eating is a big one for women.
Oh, I want to talk about that.
Yeah. That's a really big one that I'm seeing. I mean, it's not lab based, but it's affecting their labs a lot. And they're over exercising. So that's one that I think we just grew up as a society, as women, thinking I need to cut my calories down super low, which they're not even well versed on what they should be eating and how they should be eating. So they really don't know until we put it on paper and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm eating the calories of a toddler, So that's part of it that I'm seeing a ton of for women. I am seeing a lot of gut dysfunction in women that I think really paying attention to the gut makes such a big difference. I think it's so, so, so important. But those are the top ones. And then in recent years, I'm seeing that COVID has caused more chronic symptoms post either vaccine or getting it, has caused more chronic symptoms in general. And then toxin loads with environment. So mold has actually been something that I'm seeing more and more being a problem for people. I don't know if it's now because we're educated and know, but I also think that the way the homes are being built are very different. And so that's also becoming a bit of a problem for women as well.
I am so terrified of mold. I'm not going to lie. I want to talk about mold, but I also want to go back and talk about women overtraining and under eating.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's like we are taught that we need to kind of be in a calorie deficient.
Yes.
And we need to work our asses off at Barry's boot camp and sweat it out and run as super fast and lift all of the weights and also just be skinny.
Yeah.
What should we be eating and how should we be training?
Yeah.
What's the best for the female body?
I'm going to say, again, this is so individualized to the person, but I will say what I would recommend in general is following blood sugar balance tips. So that means making sure that you're eating breakfast within the first hour of waking up. Most women
you told me that the other day because I was having my coffee before breakfast.
Yeah.
I try not to do that anymore.
Yeah. So women are, I think every woman I talk to is like, well, I'm not hungry in the morning. I'm like, well, you've trained your body to run on cortisol. So
me.
That's something that you need to really pay attention to. You want to eat 3 meals a day, no skipping meals, right? So we also want to make sure that you are, you're not having naked carbs. So that means like a bunch of fruit as a snack or a piece of cake by itself. Try to pair it with a fat, a fiber, a protein, something. I often say if you do like sweets, just eat it after lunch, right? Like try to have a meal before and then have your sweet treat after.
Okay.
So just doing some of that, coffee after breakfast, right? No coffee on an empty stomach.
So do you need a full breakfast when you wake up or can you have like a snack and then your coffee and then breakfast a little bit later?
I believe you should have a full breakfast in the morning. And the reason for that, with what I see with a lot of my clients, is that when you eat that full breakfast in the morning, you're fueled throughout the day and you don't find yourself being snacky in between meals and you don't find yourself hungry before bed, right? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like that perfect way to start your day where you're able to really fuel and have that like steady energy throughout your day with that full breakfast. I would say, again, this changes for every single woman, but like shoot for 30 grams of protein at breakfast, at least. Start there. You don't have to have this like whole perfect plate, but start with the protein and then keep adding on as your hunger cues start to come back. And I promise you, they do come back. It just takes time for that to happen.
So what does your breakfast look like?
My breakfast looks like chicken sausage. I'm currently not doing eggs, but I am about to start them again. That's something with Hashimoto's that can cause some inflammation. And then I will do like a side of like berries and kiwi, like some fruit. And then I will have like a psyllium husk or something before to add in some fiber, or I'll have something on my plate. Kiwi's high in fiber too. So depending on what I have on my plate, I'll kind of make sure that I've got, a good amount of protein, a fat, a fiber, a carb, right? So that's kind of what I try to do, is keep as balanced as I can on the meal. Yeah.
So do we need to be eating as much protein as everyone's saying? Like, what is it, your body weight in protein? I keep seeing these memes out there that are like, I was never peer pressured to do drugs as much as I'm peer pressured to eat however much protein in my adult life.
Yeah, I find that to be one of the most valuable things for clients. Whenever
it's so hard.
I know it is. Again, it's all about slow rolling it. You have to start slow and keep adding on, right? It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing that you do is going to happen overnight that's worth it. So start out with what feels good for you, and every day add on 5 grams extra of protein. See where you go with it.
Okay.
And does it mean you have to get to that number that, the macros that are specific for your body? No, but get to the place where you're like, okay, I'm physically feeling so much better. Like this feels good, right? Mm-hmm. I also would like to say that it's so tough for some women because maybe they're not digesting their food well enough. So maybe they need some more enzymes in place. Maybe they're not having bowel movements regularly. So I see a lot of women with constipation. And so if you're not having bowel movements, and you're not going to be as hungry. So there's so many factors that come into play with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I need to focus on. I've been trying to do a little bit better. And, but I do like the idea of like, just adding in like 5 grams here, a little bit here, and just seeing how you feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
I realized that since I got pregnant, I'm eating way more. I'm just like way more hungry. It's kind of insane. But earlier on, when I had a bit more energy, I think I'm 12 weeks now. So I think I'm supposed to get more energy coming back, which I'm looking forward to. But I was working out. I was still doing my classes, and I realized because I was eating more, my body was like responding better. Like I could tell that I was stronger. Exactly. And my body just felt like, oh yeah, we like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of women like the whole like, well, I don't eat carbs. And I'm like, you need carbs if you're working out. Like if you're working out at all, I need you having a lot more carbs. So, that is such a good point that you're able to build muscle better and you're actually like energized during your workouts. I have so many women who are like, I'm exhausted after my workouts. And I'm like, well, yes, there's a level of tired because you've just exercised, but you should not be fatigued for 24 hours after a workout. That's probably too much for your body. So definitely depending. So when we look at how much your body needs to eat, we're looking at one, how much, obviously, like how much exercise you're doing, what's your weight, what's your height, all of those factors kind of come into play when we're looking at exactly what your macros are going to be.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like most of us need to be eating more.
Oh, I would say majority of women need to eat more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that for you. All right, let's talk about mold. The scariest thing that freaks me out.
Let's talk about it.
Ever since I started following your content, I now wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I just know there's mold everywhere. It's on me.
I'm just here trying to increase everyone's anxiety, I guess.
Let's just talk about it. Like, hit me with the mold talk.
Yeah. So 70% of buildings have mold in them. This building probably has mold in it, right? It's unfortunate that that's what we're dealing with. But what I will say is, again, let's not live in fear. Our bodies are designed hopefully to detoxify. The problem with, I'll kind of give you an understanding of like why one person could be in a house with a lot of mold and just be dying and another is not. I have an HLA gene mutation, which does not allow me to detoxify things like mold, Lyme, COVID spike proteins, etc. So if it might take you 2 days to get rid of mold in your body, it might take me 365 days to get a certain amount. So if I'm living in it, it keeps stacking up. So, doesn't mean that it might not affect you in 10 years, but it's not going to affect you as acutely as it would me. And so what we're seeing, and what I will say is, again, this is about awareness and not panic. We want to just check and see what the state of our home is like first, and then also checking out the state of our, where we're working or where we're at a lot, right? So when we're looking at mold, we want to make sure that there's no spots, like wet spots around in your house. Like that's obviously like number one to look at. But then also like if you have a crawl space in the state of Tennessee, you probably have mold in your home because we have a very humid climate here. So if there is that much humidity, there is going to be mold unless you have a completely encapsulated crawl space with a dehumidifier running at all times down there. Oh. So I would say that's one of the biggest things in Tennessee and or humid climates in general is the crawl space situation. And then obviously it's going through your vents and into your home. So yeah, that's that. I would say like more than anything, just paying attention to cracks and or how you're feeling in certain rooms or not. Like if you're feeling something different when you're leaving your house versus in your house, those are some of the things that you need to really pay attention to when it comes to that.
And how do you know if you have been exposed to mold? Like what are like the main symptoms? I know feeling different, but is there more drastic ones? Are there like minimal ones? Yeah.
So the more drastic cases, I'm seeing exercise intolerance where you can't really work out a lot. Like it absolutely drains you for days. I see skin rashes and or hives, allergy symptoms. Allergy symptoms is probably one of the biggest ones I would say across the board. Like for the person who's not really super sensitive to mold, they're probably like, I have really bad allergies, right? So that's something that we're seeing a lot of. Brain fog, fatigue, constipation, gut issues. So like you can actually form, for example, candida in the gut from being exposed to too much mold. So it can cause issues in the gut from, being exposed to it. Hair loss, that's a really big one too. Really bad periods or losing your period. So it can be so heavy you can't handle it or you've lost it. A lot of anxiety and depression. So I would say that mold can definitely cause your brain. It causes a lot of neuroinflammation. So those are some of the main ones that we're seeing across the board with mold.
I mean, it sounds like you said 70% of buildings have it. So what's the harm in getting it tested, just having, because you have a company, right, that's going in and testing for mold.
Yeah. So because of what we went through, we purchased a home that was 3 years old, and I even at the time knew what my situation was with mold. We actually got a company to come out and check for the mold, and I got extremely gaslit by that company. And basically they're like, there's nothing here. You've lost your mind. Like this is fine. Throughout the whole inspection process, we purchased the home. Within a week of me being there, I was bedridden and I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh my God.
So we had to find, I think we went through like 3 or 4 different investigators coming through being like, your house is fine. Your house is fine. Your house is fine. And then finally we found someone who came in and we found it all underneath the hardwood floor in the master bedroom. And so there was a leak that had happened, and we got lied to by the owner of the home. And there was actually a water leak that they did not tell us about and didn't disclose. And so they had fixed the wall, but they didn't remediate underneath the hardwood. So
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I just know our house has mold.
So because of that, and because of our experience with the industry and how they're not catering to someone like me, right? There's a lot of air, like for example, people will air test and be like, I air tested and they said it was clean, but I still feel horrible in my home. And I'm like, you've got to do more than just air testing. And so through that process, my husband's mechanical engineer at trade, he went back and got his certification to become a mold inspector. And so we now are doing this as a second business because we just have realized how hard it is for people to actually get real answers. And it becomes very, very expensive to keep trying to look, or even just remediating the wrong thing in the house. And then from there, you've remediated something and spent thousands of dollars on it, but it didn't actually fix the problem because you didn't investigate it well. So yeah.
See, I want to have y'all come to our house and actually look into this.
Can.
We don't own, we rent, and we're planning on moving in the next year, but I just have a sense that maybe there's mold in there. And I told Ryan, cause he has some mold kit that was sitting in our closet. And I'm like, you got to go try to do that. And then I remembered you had this company. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have them come in here and they're going to be like, there's mold everywhere. And I'm going to have to move immediately,
Yeah.
But it's important to know this. Like you can't run from.
Totally. I also it depends on what types of molds you have in your house, what level we're looking at. So just test and see where you're at. And then some people are like, well, we can't move. So we do as much as we can in the home. Like if you can't do full remediation, there's still other things that you can do to make your home healthier. And so it just really is a case by case basis. And you just have to understand that there's going to be exposure everywhere you go. It's just how much exposure and how much is it messing with you, know? And so I think that it's important to, again, be educated, but not to spiral into, I got to get out, like I've got to leave right this very moment. You can do things in the meantime until you have to go, for example, if there is something that we find,
It sounds like it's like your message is really, it's that with everything.
Yeah. It's really hard for me because I want to educate in a way that doesn't feel like I'm fear mongering. So it becomes really challenging because a lot of this is scary for a lot of people and it is really eye opening. But at the same time, it's just knowledge is power. Like that's all I want to say is knowledge is power. And then how we handle it, it can be handled in a million different ways to support you and your life. Right. Mm-hmm. So I just want people to know that first of all, you have a voice. You should, if you're feeling absolutely like crap, keep searching. Don't stop, right? And more than anything, like these things are fixable, and absolutely, we're not living. We don't have to be perfect 24/7 as well to be healthy and feel great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like who's going to be perfect 24/7? You're not.
No.
None of us are.
No.
And if you try to be perfect for 24/7, you're going to get like literally 24 hours in a day, and then you're going to fail. And you're going to have to start all over again. Sure. Okay. So here's a big topic that I feel like everyone talks about. Yeah. Adderall.
Yeah.
And I was prescribed Adderall for a while. It really did help me. I didn't take it every single day. But it definitely would get me locked in. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to abuse. And I feel like a lot of people are taking it that don't even really need it. Yeah. And in a world where high functioning women, we have to be on type A. We have to be grinding and taking care of our families and being the CEO and doing the marketing. Like we have to wear 17 different hats. That Adderall became like the way that people would do that. Can you talk to us about like why there's been this rise in like the good and the bad of stimulants?
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely understand why people feel like that's a need. So let's start from childhood. Let's just go there. And that's oftentimes where people are prescribed these when they're younger. Kids are not meant to be in a confined environment the way they are with school. I personally, again, look at the system and I'm like, there's something wrong here. Of course your kid is hyperactive. You're feeding them sugar and Cheetos, and they're eating all of these different foods that are going to obviously make them hyperactive. And then also you're keeping them in a classroom for 8 hours a day, and you wonder why they're bouncing off the walls and can't concentrate, etc. We're just, as human beings, we're not meant to do that. And so I think that there could be, it can definitely benefit on a short term for some, but in my opinion, I unfortunately see way more cons than I do pros. I was on it for 17 years and it absolutely wrecked my body. In my opinion of what we need to be doing when it comes to ADHD in general is to look at other things that could be causing the symptom to happen in the first place. And so when we look at ADHD, we need to say there's obviously like a big gut-brain axis thing going on here where the gut is definitely involved. And so we want to make sure that that is at play. We need to look at their nutrition as well. Nutrition's a big piece of what can treat ADHD naturally if we're eating different diet as well. So some of the top things that can really happen that I see the most when it comes to my clients with ADHD are gut for sure. We need to look at gut infections. We need to look and make sure that they're properly digesting their food because that can absolutely change neuroinflammation. It can change neurotransmitters. We're wanting to look at nutrition and make sure that they are eating enough food and they are, it's the same stuff we've been talking about. It's really important to be looking at that. We need to make sure that there's not a toxin overload as well. That can absolutely cause ADHD symptoms. ADHD, in my opinion, is a symptom.
I was just about to ask you, I was like, is ADHD a thing?
That's my opinion. And I've seen ADHD symptoms go away when we treat the things that we are treating. And so what I have seen over the years with working with women who are on this drug and they get to a place where they are now seeing weight gain happen, which a lot of women get on it because they're trying to lose weight, right? Or they're trying to like suppress their appetite. They are seeing major anger outburst, physical pain from it. It's really amplifying their nervous systems, number one, their mitochondrial function, which is at the cellular level of our bodies, our cells, is not working as well because of an amphetamine that they're taking on a regular basis. There are tons of different symptoms that are kind of happening where they feel very disconnected or they don't feel like themselves taking this drug. Mm-hmm. Also, in general, it's overprescribed. There is no really good test other than you going to the doctor saying, I'm having a hard time concentrating or shake your leg or whatever to get a drug that can really, really cause issues long-term if you were taking this. Sometimes even cause issues short-term if you were taking it. So I personally believe there's so many alternatives out there. And if you feel like you're in a place where you're like, I need to try this medication, try the natural alternative first. That's all. That's my biggest message is try other things. There are supplements that can absolutely support ADHD.
Like what?
L-tyrosine's one that I see all the time. Lion's mane is a really great one. But again, it's going to depend on the person and what they're lacking, what they're needing. Nutrient deficiencies can be a part of it. So I see a lot of zinc and copper being an issue for people with ADHD. So it really, there's so many different areas we can look at if you have that as a symptom or that is something that you've struggled with for years. a lot of times people too, when it comes to having those ADHD symptoms, are going through something crazy in their life or some change with their job or something like that, where they're feeling they need that extra support. But you could easily take electrolytes in the afternoon and get the boost that you need. No, it's not like Adderall, obviously.
You mean it's not like taking meth?
We know.
I've tried electrolytes, girl, and it ain't the same.
But the point is that there's a million other things you could be doing if you are not looking for the quick fix that then will not be a quality good fix down the road. Quick fixes never work long term. And so, you know, if you're going through a moment where you're like, I've got to get through testing or, you know, school or whatever that looks like, one, make sure that you're taking care of your body and making sure that you are doing everything else you can to get those nutrient deficiencies that can be happening from taking the medication in the first place, right? So making sure that you are doing everything in your power to take care of your body while being on it, and then find other alternatives and ways that you can wean off of that, because it can be really challenging after taking it for as long as, you know, 10 plus years to get off of it. I mean, for me, I went through major withdrawal. I had to taper off of it so slowly. And I was feeling flu-like symptoms. I mean, to the extent where like at one point I was like, should I go to rehab? This is ridiculous. And I see that with clients. Thankfully now my clients don't experience that, but I've seen that with clients who've attempted it on their own.
It's like you're going through with the draw.
Oh yeah. It's really, really challenging. I couldn't form sentences when I was getting off of it. I mean, it was scary. So this is not a drug just to like take and not, you know, not pay attention to what the repercussions can be.
And how long have you been off of it now?
10 years.
Okay. So see, yeah, it was hard getting off of it, but
it was, yeah. And I think there was also, Adderall's also put into place with people who have underlying issues that need to be fixed, and they're covered up by a medication that's ramping them up. And then at one point it just stops working because their body's like, okay, I can't take this anymore. And then they have to address the problem that has been underlying this whole entire time. So yeah, to me, it's a big problem, and it's being prescribed way too much. And the unfortunate part of some of these medications, like Ozempic even, where they're just prescribing them with no one's monitoring it. No one's seeing how this person is responding and reacting, and how to mitigate those symptoms, or be like, hey, you might be taking too much, or hey, you might need to not do this, but something else, you know? So there's no one working with them on that. It just becomes an issue and they don't know what to do about it.
Man, it just goes back to like bringing balance back into health. And we were talking off air a little bit. I really hope you don't niche down, because I could sit here and talk to you for 2 more hours, because I literally have so many other topics. And I'm like, well, what about this? And what about this? But, you know, we both have things to do. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Not that I care, but you know, people in this room care about that.
Yeah.
But tell everybody where they can follow you, how they can work with you, because God knows we need you, girl.
Thank you. So you can find me at Sheeva Wellness on Instagram, or SheevaWellness.com is also my website. Super easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sheeva.
Of course.